Hi guys, so our next quote is from Ramana Maharshi. The fact is, you are ignorant of your blissful state. Ignorance supervenes and draws a veil over the pure self, which is bliss. Attempts are directed only to remove this veil of ignorance, which is merely wrong knowledge. The wrong knowledge is the false identification of the self with the body and the mind. This false identification must go, and then the self alone remains. Okay, so how does one get to see this for oneself? So we begin with the fact is, you are ignorant of your blissful state. Our blissful state is the essential self, is what some masters call the witness, the consciousness, the awareness. So ignorance supervenes and draws a veil over the pure self. So we talk about the veils. In this case, I would describe the veils as the ideas, as the knowledge and experiences you have placed on yourself. So when it says ignorance supervenes and draws a veil over the pure self, which is bliss, as we said, the essential self is bliss. Attempts are directed only to remove this veil of ignorance, which is merely wrong knowledge. So when he talks about wrong knowledge, so we have the essential self, but we have then at some point in our growth come up with different ideas. The idea of love, of success, of happiness, of joy, of bliss, or all these ideas, right? So in order for us to, for example, become awakened, as we begin to make attempts to become awakened, we have the idea of what is awakening. We have the idea of what is to be self-realized. So the wrong knowledge is the false identification of the self with the body and the mind. So the mind will say, I can become awakened or enlightened by doing this, by reading this, by practicing this. And the moment you've said that to yourself, you've set already the conditioning within you. You see? So this is the wrong knowledge, because you are doing it through the personality, through the idea that comes from the ego self, not the essential self, from the mind in this case. So the wrong knowledge is the false identification of the self with the body and the mind. This false identification must go, and then the self alone remains. So when you begin to identify that I believe that enlightenment is this, love is this, success is this, happiness is this, joy is this, you've already given it a conditioning. And that is what blinds you from ever finding it. You see? So the whole process involves you removing those ideas of all those things one by one, like veils. Remove one veil at a time in this case, and then you begin to cleanse in a way, and the only thing that's left after all the veils have gone is the essential self. You see? So that's how it works. So all the masters are basically saying the same thing. It's just in different expressions. You know, when they say the wrong knowledge is the false identification, is we identify with this body and our thoughts, our mind, saying that this is who I am. I am this name, I am this nationality, I am this culture, this history, this. So you begin to identify with so many things within the body. Then you begin to identify with the mind. As I said, success, happiness, love, enlightenment, all of this is this. This is the wrong knowledge. And the wrong knowledge are the veils. Each idea is a veil. So the moment you begin to realize that the veils are actually the thing that is blocking me from ever finding it, so that's when you begin to undo in a way, the idea you created to begin with. And the moment you start dropping the ideas one by one, then you will find that the self alone remains. So yeah, I hope that helps.